Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. So today I wanted to share my approach to energy consumption during race day. I believe that with a well thought out energy strategy, we as endurance athletes can improve our performance and reduce fatigue. This way we can reduce the risk of underperforming on race day. I believe that a long sports event such as a half marathon, half Ironman or even a full Ironman requires thorough preparation. I feel that it is necessary to prepare myself with sufficient amount of training to have a good experience on race day. In addition to the training, I think it is important to make a energy plan so I am completely clear on what I'm going to consume throughout the race day. I value having experience with energy consumption so I know what works for me and my stomach. I will use this knowledge to select what I will consume the day before race day, on the morning of race day, and throughout the race. I made the mistake of not caring about experimenting with different types of energy before my first marathon and was punished with stomach pains. In the month leading up to race day, I spent most of my long distance training sessions experimenting with different types of energies to find out what works best for me. I typically consider what type of breakfast that works for me and how I will time it the best. In my personal experience, I get very good energy from oatmeal in the morning. It sits well in my stomach and it provides me with energy for a very long time. Another thing I consider is how I will consume a sufficient amount of fluid during race day or the training. During training, I'm not hyper focused on this while running because I find it inconvenient to run around with a lot of water. But during cycling, especially indoors, I always have a lot of water because I find myself sweating a lot while cycling indoors. In terms of race day, I typically just consume water, energy drinks and gels provided by the event. An important note is that the longest I have competed in is a full marathon. So when I'm going to compete in a longer event, such as an Ironman, I will focus a lot more on providing myself with sufficient energy throughout the race. The last main thing that I consider is what type of energy I absorb the best during race day or training. I personally find the most success with consuming fruits with a high amount of carbohydrates. I always carry a banana with me on long rides on the bike. I have also tried using energy powder that I mix with water, but I found myself getting more energy from actual fruits. So in terms of energy during the competition, it is important to know that we as humans can only fill our carbohydrate storages for about the first 2 hours of the competition. So if we want to compete in a contest that lasts longer than those 2 hours, I believe it is a good idea to replenish with energy. Because if we empty our carbohydrate storages, we can hit the so-called wall and lose all of our energy. This is the main reason why I believe it is important to consume energy before that happens. During the competition, or for that matter, our training, our muscle burns carbohydrates to move us forward towards the finish line. If we have completed a successful carbohydrate strategy up until race day, we have a larger amount of carbohydrates with us upon the day. But I do not believe that these storages are enough for most people if they are going to compete in a full marathon, Ironman or a similar long distance event. That is why I believe it is so important to supplement with extra energy during the competition. If we consume carbohydrates during the competitions, our muscles will tear less on the already built up carbohydrate storages that we brought with us. This will naturally result in more energy and we can keep going for a longer time. As a rule of thumb, we can consume about 60 grams of carbs every hour. This is about 3 bananas or energy gels. I'm personally observant of not consuming more carbohydrates than this level because it will not improve my performance but instead increase the risk of me getting stomach pains. This is the main reason why I prepare before a race with a plan of what and when I'm going to consume energy. Another thing I focus on is that I consume energy continuously throughout the race. If I begin to consume energy too late in the competition, I feel a very short energy boost instead of a constant flow of energy. To prevent this, I typically start my energy consumption earlier on in the race to keep a constant flow of energy. In terms of fluid intake, we can, as a rule of thumb, consume about a liter of water every single hour. Our need for fluid is of course very dependent on how much we sweat and what weather condition we are competing in. But of course, I believe it is important to consume enough water to prevent ourselves from dehydrating. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video and got some inspiration in your own energy consumption during training and race day. As a little side note, I am running the Barcelona Marathon tomorrow, so expect a video about that in the next weekend. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And besides that, I want to wish you all a great weekend. Take care.